All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're exploring Brian Tracy's Psychology of Achievement course.
Ooh, interesting choice.
Right, I thought so too. We all know, like, believing in yourself is important, but Tracy takes it a step further.
He doesn't just say believe in yourself. It's deeper.
Exactly. So get this, he says there's this, like, secret ingredient that supercharges self-belief.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
He calls it radical responsibility.
Radical responsibility.
Okay. It's the idea that you are totally 100% accountable for everything in your life. Like, no excuses.
Wow, that's intense. Kind of scary, but also, like, really empowering when you think about it.
Yeah, right. Because it means no more blaming, like bad luck or other people. When things go wrong, it's all on you.
You're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. But Tracy argues that this, like, owning your choices, it unlocks this incredible potential. He even has this wild analogy to explain the shift we need to make. It's about a canyon.
A canyon. Okay, I'm listening.
Picture this. You're standing at the edge of this massive canyon. Behind you is, like, your childhood. And across this huge chasm is the life you want as an adult.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
That leap of faith.
Yes. And Tracy says, so many people, they cling to what's familiar, afraid to take that jump.
Because it's scary. Who wants to jump into a canyon?
Right. But to get to that, like, true maturity and self-reliance, you gotta take the leap.
You got to go for it. No risk, no reward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But easier said than done, right? Tracy says a ton of people, they get stuck in what he calls the valley of excuses.
Oh, the Valley of Excuses. I know that place well. Been there, done that.
Haven't we all? It's so tempting to just blame external factors, right? Instead of, like, actually taking action.
Totally. It's way easier to make an excuse than to do the work.
Yeah. And Tracy, he even asked this, like, thought-provoking question. He says, what excuses are you using to not move forward? And I think it's worth, like, actually taking a second to think about that.
Yeah, what is that go-to excuse? We all have one.
Mine is usually, I don't have enough time. Classic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But Tracy would probably say, I'm letting that become my, like, white rabbit.
Right, rabbit. Okay, now I'm lost.
So he borrows this analogy from Tolstoy. There's this story about a box, right? And it holds all the answers to life's big questions.
Sounds promising.
Right. But here's the catch. You can't open the box if you keep thinking about a white rabbit.
Hey, wait. A white rabbit? Why a white rabbit?
It's a distraction. And for us, Tracy says, those white rabbits are actually the limiting beliefs that, like, block us from seeing our true potential.
I'm starting to see it now. The white rabbit is that thing that keeps us from the good stuff.
Exactly. It's the excuse that keeps popping up, holding us back. So, like, what's your white rabbit?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
What pops up for you when you think about going for something big?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder. What's that excuse that always seems to get in the way?
Right. Is it fear of failure? Feeling like you're not good enough? We've all got something.
Definitely. It's worth thinking about. And once you can, like, identify those excuses, then you can start to dismantle them. And that's where Tracy's whole breakdown of responsibility comes in.
Okay, back to responsibility. Let's break it down.
He calls it responsibility, actually, to highlight that you always have the power to choose how you react to any situation.
Responsibility. I like that. It puts the focus on action, on our ability to respond.
Right. So instead of being, like, a victim of circumstance, you become the architect of your response. It reminds me of Stoic philosophy.
Oh, totally. Focusing on what you can control.
Yeah.
Your attitude and actions, not the external stuff.
Exactly. And this is where Tracy gets really specific about, like, how people dodge responsibility. He points to 3 big areas where this plays out: politics, the criminal justice system, and healthcare.
Ooh, those are some heavy hitters.
Right. He says in politics, people want the government to fix everything for them instead of taking initiative themselves. It's like they're waiting for someone else to solve their problems.
It's easier to complain than to take action, right?
Totally. And then in the criminal justice system, he sees this thing where criminals blame their past or society for their actions.
Instead of taking ownership of their choices.
Exactly. And then in healthcare, he sees this tendency for people to expect doctors to fix health issues that come from, like, their own lifestyle choices.
It's like expecting a magic pill to fix everything without doing any of the work yourself.
Right. And he's not saying these issues are simple, But he's definitely challenging us to think about where personal responsibility fits into these like larger systems. It's food for thought, for sure.
It definitely gets you thinking. It's like, where do we draw the line between individual responsibility and societal factors?
Right. And it all circles back to his core message, which is true freedom comes when you embrace responsibility for your choices. You're free to choose, but you also own the consequences, good or bad. And that can be intimidating.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot of pressure, right. But also kind of exciting because it means you have that power.
Yeah. And this actually reminds me of like existentialist philosophy. It's the idea that this freedom to choose, it's both liberating and terrifying.
Because there's nobody to blame but yourself.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really pivotal moment in Tracy's own life. He tells this story about when he was 21, stuck in this dead-end job, feeling totally lost.
We've all been there, that feeling of being stuck.
Right. And then it just hits him. If his life is going to change, he's the one who has to change it. No one else is coming to rescue him.
Wow, that's a powerful realization. Like that moment when you take ownership of your own destiny.
And I think we all have these like, aha moments, right? Where we suddenly realize, oh, I actually have agency here.
That spark of possibility, it's incredible.
It is. It's like a light bulb going off. We all have that power within us, but we sometimes forget it's there.
We get complacent, we get comfortable, we forget that we can actually make things happen.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for our listeners? How do we start tapping into that power in our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question. And that's what we'll dig into next time. We'll explore how to cultivate self-esteem and responsibility in ways that you can actually, use in your everyday life.
Get ready to ditch those white rabbits and start shaping your own destiny. It's going to be good.
I can't wait. So we've been talking about how taking responsibility, it can be, kind of scary.
Definitely.
But you know what? It can also be, seriously freeing.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Because instead of feeling like things are just happening to you, you start to feel like you're the one in control.
All right. Yeah, like you're calling the shots.
Exactly. You become the author of your own story. But how do we actually do that? How do we make that shift? Because it's one thing to, understand it, but how do we put it into practice, every day?
Yeah, that's the, million-dollar question. How do we actually make it happen?
Well, I think Tracy would probably say it starts with, picking one area.
Yeah.
Right? One area where you're not quite living up to your potential.
Okay, so one specific thing you want to change.
Yeah, could be anything. Your job, a relationship, your health, anything that's kind of bugging you.
Got it. Pick one thing. What's next?
Then you ask yourself, what excuses am I using to avoid taking action here?
Oh, get real with yourself.
Yeah. What are those limiting beliefs that are holding you back? It takes some honesty, but you got to pinpoint those white rabbits, remember?
Oh, yeah. The white rabbits. Those sneaky excuses we talked about.
Right. They're disguised as reasons why you can't do something.
Okay, so let's say I've found my white rabbit, right? I realize I'm telling myself I'm not creative enough to start my own business. Now what?
You challenge it. Don't just accept it as the truth.
Oh, fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look for evidence that proves it wrong. Maybe you're really good at solving problems, right? Or connecting with people. Those are great skills for an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Or maybe you've done other things that required creativity, even if it wasn't in a creative field.
Yeah.
The point is to actively fight those negative thoughts.
So it's like flipping the script. Instead of focusing on what you're bad at, focus on what you're good at.
Exactly. And once you start shifting those beliefs, you'll naturally feel more confident, more empowered to actually take action.
Okay, I like that.
And this is where that starting today to move towards that goal.
This is where the rubber meets the road, right?
Totally. It's about turning intention into actual action. But I know those goals can feel huge, right? Totally overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's where do I even begin?
You break it down. Don't focus on that big end goal. Focus on small steps you can take right now. Little things.
Small manageable steps. Okay.
And here's the key.
Yeah.
Focus on what you can control, right? Because you can't always control the outcome.
Yeah.
But you can control the effort, the choices you make, your attitude.
So instead of being I want to write a novel, it's more I'm going to write for 30 minutes every day, even if it's terrible.
Exactly. It's about consistency, Those little actions add up over time. It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yeah, I love that quote. It's so true.
Each step, no matter how small, it shows You're serious about making this happen, about like shaping your own destiny.
I love that. It takes the pressure off, like you don't have to have it all figured out right away.
Right. It's just about showing up even when it's hard, even when you're not sure what the next step is.
You just got to keep going.
And that's what true achievement is all about, I think. It's not about being perfect or like becoming an overnight success. It's about the daily work, the consistency, the commitment to building that life you want, one choice at a time.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And it sounds like this whole responsibility thing, it's not about beating yourself up for mistakes, right?
No, not at all. It's more about empowering yourself.
Yeah, to make better choices moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, learn from your mistakes, but don't dwell on them.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the how-to of responsibility, right? But I'm curious, is there a link between self-esteem and owning your choices? Do they, like, feed each other?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I think they're totally intertwined.
So, like, if you start taking more responsibility for your life, does that make you feel better about yourself?
Exactly. When you start seeing yourself as someone who can make things happen, overcome challenges, create positive change, your self-esteem naturally grows.
Because you're proving to yourself that you can do it.
Yes. And you start trusting your own judgment, your own capabilities, your own worth.
It's like this positive feedback loop. Responsibility boosts self-esteem, and then self-esteem empowers you to take even more responsibility.
A recipe for personal growth. I love it.
It's like you're constantly becoming like a better version of yourself through those choices.
And I think that's where the real magic is.
Yeah.
You're not fixed. You're always evolving. You have the power to shape who you are through the choices you make every single day.
That is a powerful thought. Like, you're always becoming.
And I think that's something we can all strive for, no matter like where we're starting from.
Yeah.
We all have that potential.
Okay, so we talked about white rabbits, challenging those limiting beliefs, taking action, and how it all ties back to self-esteem. But are there, like, specific things we can do to build those muscles, like for self-esteem and responsibility? Are there daily habits or something?
Totally. There are tons of practical things you can do. One of the most powerful, I think, is starting each day with gratitude.
Oh, gratitude. I love that.
Yeah. Take a few minutes to think about what you're thankful for. Even small things, right? It can really change your perspective, and it boosts your sense of self-worth.
It's like starting the day with a positive mindset, right? Focusing on what you have, not what you don't.
Exactly. And it reminds you that even when things are tough, there's always something to be grateful for. It helps you appreciate your own, like, resilience and strength.
It's like you kind of hit the reset button every morning and remember all the good stuff you have.
Right. And it helps you focus on what you have, not what you're missing.
So gratitude, that's one good tool. What else can we do to, like, build up those self-esteem and responsibility muscles?
Along with gratitude, try setting some, like, clear intentions for the day.
Oh, intention.
Ask yourself, like, what do I want to get done today? How do I want to act when I talk to people?
So you're not just, like, reacting to stuff. You're choosing how you want to spend your energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're being proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you start achieving even those little intentions, it makes you feel more capable.
Yeah, like, hey, I can actually make stuff happen.
Yes, you're proving it to yourself. So gratitude, intentions, anything else.
What else can we add to our toolkit?
Don't forget about self-care.
Oh, self-care.
Yeah, that looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's about doing things that are good for, like, your mind, your body, your spirit.
Like exercise or meditation or even just taking a break.
Exactly. Could be reading, spending time in nature, whatever helps you recharge.
Yeah, self-care is so important, but it's usually the first thing to go when I'm stressed.
Right. It's easy to feel like it's selfish, but it's not.
It's the opposite. You got to take care of yourself first.
Exactly. When you take care of your well-being, you handle stuff better.
Yeah.
You make better decisions. You show up better for everyone. It's like self-respect.
Oh, yeah, self-respect. That's a good way to put it. It's not just about, like, bubble baths, right?
No, it's about consciously taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I think we forget that self-esteem and responsibility, they're not just, like, mental things.
Totally. It's how you treat yourself, physically and emotionally.
It's all connected.
And as you start doing all this, the gratitude, the intentions, the self-care, you'll probably notice a change.
Like how you see yourself.
Yeah. You'll feel more confident, more capable, like you deserve good things.
It's like all those small things start to add up to a bigger picture.
And as your self-esteem grows, so does your sense of responsibility. You're more motivated to take action, to make choices that fit your values.
It's that upward spiral we were talking about before. They feed each other.
Right. And that's what leads to the life you want. Brian Tracy really knew what he was talking about.
They seem like simple ideas, but they can make a big difference.
It's not about, like, changing overnight or becoming a superhero. It's about those small steps every day.
Just showing up consistently.
Yeah, that's the real key to achievement.
So as we wrap up, think about one area of your life where you're ready to take charge, starting today. What's one tiny step you can take right now?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Because that one tiny step, it could be the start of something amazing. It's all about that choice and that action.
You have the power to change your life. Don't forget that.
Choose wisely, be brave, and embrace your potential. That's what this is all about.